In today's video, I'm going to show you how to earn 2 million credits on the latest time trial that Gran Turismo 7 has added to the game. Now, this might just be one of the best time trials that has been added this year. Extremely fun. You're going to enjoy it. Give it a go. It's at Laguna Seca, and let's jump into this new time trial. So we're driving the Shelby GT 350. Now, if you want a guide for Deep Forest also, you can check that out on my channel under the 2 million credit playlist. But we're going to jump into Laguna Seca, and we are on racing hard tyres, which is really interesting with this car. I think it works absolutely perfect. Now, I predict the gold is going to be around the 1 minute 28.2 if you want that gold. So you're going to be looking under a 30, 1 minute 30 for the silver. So bear that in mind. Now, I did manage to get it into the top 10 so you can chase my ghost. I didn't spend too long on this either. I only did about 50 miles. I think it was 55 or something like that miles in total. So not a bad lap considering the amount of time we put in. And straight away, you can see I didn't get the best exit to start the lap. Now, ideally, you want to get a better exit than that because I've probably lost out about a tenth before we even get into turn 1. So before we get into turn 1, we're going to be looking for the number 4 board, which you're going to break just short of that number 4 board. Now, hold your gears with this car. Don't downshift too aggressively because you will snap the rear. So you can see I'm just going down to 3rd gear as I'm approaching into the apex now. Now, you want to hold this first curb as tight as you can and then use 2nd gear to rotate it and square it off as you're then starting to rotate into the middle of the corner. You don't want to go too far wide in this corner. You want to hold it very narrow and then your left hand tire up onto the curb and accelerate out the corner. Now, I didn't get aggressive enough there and I think I short shifted a little bit too much. You do need to short shift this car about 70-80%, but maybe a little bit too early there for me. Now into the next braking zone, we're braking just short of that number 2 board. Now, I'm going to hold 3rd gear. We're not going to go into 2nd gear. We're going to hold 3rd gear and try and get that right-hand tire to just clip the apex here on the curb. And you're going to get back on the throttle very early there. The earlier you can do it, the better. And again, we're going to rev it out into this corner. Now, you can see we're going to go back up into 4th gear, again, around that 70-80% point on the rev range. And we're going to brake just before that 1 board. Not aggressive braking, just enough braking to put the weight transfer onto the front tyres and then back onto the throttle in 4th gear. Don't go down to 3rd mid-corner because you will snap the rear. Stay in 4th gear there and then into the next braking zone. We're going to use this nice shadow in the perfect place there from the overhead board. We're braking right at the start of that. And again, hold 4th gear and you can see Consta's car in front of us perfectly showing the right-hand tyre right up to the edge of the curb there and then rotate it in. And then again, you want to be very early on the throttle. It's all about getting on the throttle early with this car and carrying momentum. So now we're working our way into the tricky left-hand corner. Now, you can use this little grid on the right-hand side if you want for your braking reference, or you can brake just short of the number 2 board. I tend to use the number 2 board because I just find it visually easier to see. You can see they're just on the brakes just before we get to number 2 board. And then we're going to start rotating it in. Now, for this left-hand corner, you want your left-hand tyre to just graze the curb and get as close to the sausage part of the curb as possible without hitting it. And you can see you want to be back on the throttle before you actually get to that sausage curb because then you can carry that speed up this hill. Now, you can see couple of hesitant lifts there, which is probably needed because I would have ran wide possibly. And then we're going into that next braking zone, which we're using this white line or the number 4 board. So you can see we're going to brake just past the white line, but before the 4 board. Do not brake before the white line and do not brake after that 4 board because you will go flying off into the corkscrew. Now, into this corner, I just hold 3rd gear. I'm not going to go down to 2nd gear because I found that it just upset the car. Stay in 3rd gear and then you can get back into the throttle on 3rd gear at the top of the hill. You can see onto that throttle and then again right hand tire onto the Astro part, the green Astro, just skim that and then you can get quite aggressively on the throttle here, but you will need to give it a little lift as you're going down this hill. So you're going to see here at the start of the curb where you can see the stripes, we're going to get on the brakes just a dab just past that point. So you can see there, little dab of the brakes. What this is doing is it's putting the weight onto the front of the car. Because of the nature of this corner, you want to put that weight onto the front and you don't want to run wide here. So you're holding that tight line. Then we're up to the curb. We can get back onto the throttle and just be careful you don't run wide there. It's very easy to run wide on the exit. And then before we get into this right hand corner, we're braking pretty much level with where it splits off, where the sound starts, but I tend to use the number 2 board. I find it a bit easier to use that. Then a little downshift to 3rd, but we're going to go back to 4th gear as we get on the throttle. So you can see the 3rd gear rotates it, then back up to 4th gear for the exit, for the acceleration into the final corner. Now, Into this final corner, we're going to be braking short of that number 3 board. So you can see number 3 board there, but we're already on the brakes. Important, don't brake right up to that 3 board because you will not make the corner. You want to concentrate on the exit for this corner. So again, it's all about squaring this car off. So you can see holding 3rd gear, then we're going to go down to 2nd gear to rotate it a little bit. Left-hand tyre up onto the curb, and then onto that throttle. You can see how I'm hesitant with the throttle, just playing with that throttle a bit. Don't just go instantly 100% throttle. And then we're going to short shift that at about 70-80% again, and then work our way up to the finishing line. For a 1 minute 26.6, considering we only did 50 miles on this, I was very happy with that. There's definitely 3 or 4 more attempts left in that. And another thing to remember with this is, I found that your pace got better around lap 3. Lap 2 was definitely better than lap 1. Lap 3 and 4 were definitely a lot more grip. The tyre temperatures build up. Remember, on racing hard tyres, they can tolerate a lot more temperatures. And I found when I got the tyres around 85 to 90 odd, they felt really good. And even up to 95 on the rear right, you can see there, felt pretty solid for the grip. So you don't want to really, I think the first lap's a bit too loose. The first lap on the time trial, you'll find that the grip isn't there. Second lap, it starts coming to you. The third lap, it feels a little bit more optimal. And obviously the fourth lap, you can carry on doing that as well. But you can see here, watching this chase camera lap, using all the width of the track, it's really important to do that. Again, this corner is very tricky. You've got to get on that throttle nice and early and carry that momentum all the way up into the next braking phase where we come to the corkscrew. And for this, like I said before, I don't go down to 2nd, just use that 3rd gear, let it clip the apex, and then try and keep the car nice and smooth through there. You don't want to let the car become unsettled, because then it'll keep you a lot smoother as you're going through these final few corners. And again, braking earlier than late here because you don't want it to drift into this corner, and then use that 4th gear for the acceleration. A little bit of sand usage there, but we got away with that. And again, squaring the car off, it's really important to get this corner braked early so you don't go in deep, and then you can concentrate on the exit speed all the way to the finishing line. So a pretty solid lap. There's definitely a 3 or 4. I think we can probably get that down to a low 26 if we push it a bit more, but I just wanted to get this guy done and out on the channel so that it will help you lot out, and hopefully it does. Remember to smash that like, subscribe if it's helped you out, and I'll see you again for more videos in the future. Take care, everyone.